ICA after I'd been in the service for a long time. I'd been in iRacing for well over a decade and spent most of my time in NASCAR series, a lot of fixed racing for the most part, and really just got to a point in my iRacing career where I really wanted to get involved in open setup racing versus fixed, partially because I was just looking for a little higher level of competition, maybe a little cleaner driving and maybe get away from some of the challenges that go along with fixed racing on the service. And it took me a while as I was really searching out leagues because I kind of had a very specific thing I was looking for. A, I wanted to be an established league. B, I just really wanted clean, quality drivers to be racing around. And once I found the ISCA, I found out really quick that it was going to check all those boxes, and I've been with the ISCA ever since. I think the things I like the most about the ISCA is it's a developmental league, but it's also a league that's got some veteran drivers. And I think really what I was looking to do was try to surround myself with some people to better my talent, my skill, and my craft. And that's one thing the ISCA has really delivered. It's got great quality drivers. You learn how to race in close quarters around some of these other people. And I think the other thing, when you do look at the developmental side, once I joined the ICA, my I rating has soared, my safety rating is better than it's ever been. And it's also really great to see drivers that join our league, really excel over time, some of which stay with the league and some that maybe move on to some bigger things, which is really exciting. We have a great history of developing drivers. We have a great alumni list. But I just really enjoy, participating in the league and just continue to get better each week that goes by. Yeah, the competition in the ISCA is awesome. I think a lot of us talk about it, each week of just how blessed we are to have such a high level of driving capabilities and just a quality group of drivers overall. And I think that's just still, I think the thing I like the most about the ISCA. You build a lot of friendships, a lot of camaraderie. We're really competitive on Thursday and Saturday nights, but it's really fun also after the race to kind of review the race start to finish. And we do a lot of coaching about what's working, what's not working. Not saying we give away all of our secrets, but I think anyone that joins it, there's a common theme. They get better each week, their I rating goes up. We see them in strength of field races over time, week in, week out. And that's just something that's really fun. Even though we compete, we really appreciate the league we participate in. And I think in most cases, we're highly competitive with some of the best and cleanest drivers on the service. And if you like long green flag runs, we don't have a lot of cautions in our races. We tend to have green flag pit stops. But those are just some things that I really enjoy about the league the most, is the quality of the competition, the lack of cautions, and just the long runs that really leads to some really awesome racing. Yeah, I think people that should join the ISCA are...
Hello and welcome everyone to the ISCA Thursday Cup Series. Sorry for having to skip that little bit of a promotion there, but we were kind of running out of time here as qualifying has begun here at Daytona, as we are going to be having the ButtKicker 250. Going to be an exciting one here at the high banks of Daytona. Of course, this is one of the most intense racetracks that we see on the schedule. Of course, my name is Brian Britt. I have Big Al in the booth with me. How are you doing today, Big Al?
Excited to be here at the World Center of Excellence right here at Daytona International Speedway. This is going to be a fun one, Brian. Can't wait to get it going.
100%. Of course, we talked about 250, that's 250 miles. Of course, 100 laps actually going to be on the docket here. Stages on, of course, stage 1 completes on lap 20 to 21. Of course, stage 2 completes lap 45 to 46. 4 sets of tires going to be actually down in the pits, 5 altogether. Fuel window is 40 laps. Now, keep in mind that is not really a solid number. It's probably going to be more between probably 38 to 40 or something like that, just considering it just depends on if you're in the draft or if you're out in the clean air. That's going to be really the key factor we're going to have to keep an eye on as this race goes on. But let's take a quick look at the point. And, of course, taking a look at the point standings, the Cup Series points, which is the 12-week schedule. Patrick Gitter right now at the top of the board by 55 points. He's got over Brandon Pasolaco. Of course, he's got 2 wins and 6 top 5s. Of course, Pasolaco, as I mentioned, in second place. He's been very, very consistent this season. Josh Schaffner's in third. Of course, fourth place, Brian Johnson. Fifth place, Matt DeCiani. Greg Wachinski's in sixth. Kenny Powell is in seventh. Eighth, Shane Parrish. Glad that I think he's back in action. I know he wasn't here last week, I do believe, at Watkins Glen. 9th, J.C. Evans, and 10th, Frank Flores. And now we'll take a look at the, of course, Super Cup points. And that'll be a little bit of a different picture here. Brandon Pasalacqua. Now, this one actually is, I do believe, a 36-week or race season standings here. So, Pasalacqua, over the whole season, the big season, has been the most consistent driver. He's got, I do believe, 20 playoff points, 17 top fives, 3 wins. I mean, very, very good record right now. He's got about 117 points on Brian Johnson at the moment. Second place, of course, as I mentioned, Johnson. He's got 2 wins, 12 top fives, 17 playoff points. And speaking of playoff points, we're actually getting, I think this is the last race or the second to the last race until we actually start the playoffs here. So we're going to actually have, I do believe, an elimination-style playoff chase that's going to be starting here very soon. But continuing down the order here, Schaffner is in third. Patrick Gitter, who has been the winningest driver all season long, he's got 6 wins and just broke that tie last week at Watkins Glen, where he actually was able to defeat Matt DeCiani. Of course, 5th place, Kenny Powell. 6th place, Matt DeCiani. He's got 5 wins on the season. 7th place, Greg Wychinski. 8th, Shane Parrish. 9th, Chris Johnson. And 10th, Randy Mullen. So a lot of different pictures and moving parts here, I think, when it comes to these standings, right, Big Al?
Yeah, absolutely. And this getting down to crunch time in the Thursday Cup Series, so a lot of drivers are going to be trying to make hay, and this is one of those tracks where you can actually do that, Brian. If the pendulum swings your way, you could actually get lucky here. So with that, we might actually see some. We have a good chance of seeing some different winners here.
Yeah, this is definitely a big one where we could definitely see a different winner for sure. I mean, this is the great equalizer type of track, like Talladega. I mean, you could just find yourself in the draft and then the right moment at the right time. And survival, I think, is going to be key, as well as we, of course, have 30 seconds left in qualifying. I think now is the perfect time. We'll take a brief step away. We'll play our national anthem, and we'll be right back with the starting grid here in the ISCA.
The night time is the right time. Remember what I told all my drivers? Reach up there and pull those belts tight. One more time. Drivers, start your engines.
Hey everybody, my name is Warren Maddox. I am the president of Ultimate Experience Outdoors. Our mission, we are dedicated to taking veterans, first responders, youth, and Gold Star family members on outdoor excursions across the country.
Support for our mission has many forms, from camp cooks to the great storytellers, some buddies with the band, maybe you just want to build a campfire and sit around and listen. Nothing goes unnoticed.
Camaraderie is reborn. The acceptance among the men and women that took an oath.
Whether it was decades ago or recently renewed, but never forgotten.
If you feel like you could help us, please visit our website, www.uxonation.org.
There, you can register to hunt, sign up to sponsor an event, or even donate to us so we can continue to execute our mission.
Oh my gosh, I'm so comfortable, bro. We get a hug, man. What have you done, Jim?
We need your help to hold the line once again.
Welcome back, everyone. We have the grid set for this evening's action. Of course, Jeffrey Ford with his first pole here in the ISCA. Definitely congratulations to him. He hit a 49.0 or 49.108, which is blazing fast. Of course, J.C. Evans, not much slower, is going to start on the outside pole, 49.112. Of course, third place starter is going to be Matt DeCiani. Fourth place is going to be Chris Johnson. Fifth place, Miller Bonds. Brian Johnson starts in sixth. Seventh place, Patrick Gitter, last week's winner. Brandon Poslock was going to be starting in eighth. Ninth place, Greg Wachinski. John Binder, I do believe this is his second race, if I'm not mistaken, starting in 10th. 11th place, Kenny Powell. Alexander Carr starts in 12th. And 13th, Greg Carr.
That's going to put Randy Mullins in 14th with Jordan Booth alongside the 15th. 16th shows Jeffrey Sousa with Frank Flores in 17th. Darren Mullins in 18th has Derek Jacobs on his outside. 20th is Randy Belk with Al Keselowski in 21st. 22nd shows Charles Joplin with 23rd. Chris Severa. Shane Parrish in 24th. Paul Osen 25th. And then in 26th, Ryan Strunk and Greg Newsom rounds out this 27-car field. Don't know if Chris Severa is actually in this field, so I think it's going to be a 26-car field.
Yeah, I do believe you're correct. I do not see Severa actually lined up rolling right now. Everybody is starting to roll, though. Definitely glad to see that. Of course, pace car lights are out as we get prepared to do 100 laps here at Daytona. Now, I know me and you both have had quite a bit of experience with this racetrack. Didn't race any this week, though, and you kind of said you were avoiding racing this week because of the implications of getting in a crash, right?
Well, yeah, you can pretty much. I mean, it's not problematic here. I mean, it's going to happen. It's not a probability. It's definitely going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, they always say about tracks like Talladega or Daytona that the big one is not a question mark if it's going to happen. It's when is it going to happen, and when do you think it's going to happen? Do you think, I mean, these guys are going to take it easy the first two stages? Is it going to happen later in the race? What do you think, Big Al?
It just depends on how the draft is working here, and if these guys got themselves a tandem setup where everybody is running side by side, then I think you're going to increase the probability of actually seeing a big one earlier. But if everybody just kind of plays the boring shot and goes single file all the way through, then I think we probably won't see it until later on in the race.
Yeah, hopefully we'll. I mean, ISCA, though, these guys are always usually fairly calm. I mean, we usually don't have a whole lot of cautions in this series. Usually a lot cleaner than we see in the officials. So we'll have to see if that's going to be the case tonight as the pace car has dipped down pit road. Green flag already out as we see Jeffrey Ford up through the gears. who is going to be leading into turn 1 and out of turn 2 onto the backstretch. You see Matt DeCiani giving some really good pushes to the rear end of the 82 there.
Yeah, that outside line got a little bit of a checkup there when Brian Johnson actually got a little bit of a shove from his G&G teammate Brandon Pasalacqua. That kind of caused that outside line to lose focus just a little bit, but they're regaining themselves, so we'll see exactly how this is going to stack out for us.
Yeah, you can see a lot of wiggling going on right now, especially on the bottom line. I'm seeing a lot of guys moving up and down the racetrack. And one thing that I think is interesting as well about the different manufacturers at a track like Daytona is when the bumpers don't necessarily line up evenly on every vehicle. You know, when you got a Toyota versus a Chevy versus a Ford. Yeah,
you're starting to actually push BBs against each other, and that never really works out. That's the best analogy I've seen on that.
Yeah, like marbles. We heard, I've heard that analogy too. You know, pushing marbles against one another. As we see Chris Johnson trying to make something happen on the top line. He kind of got out of line there on J.C. Evans. Now, I'm curious. I haven't raced this week, and I haven't heard a whole lot of people talk about it. I wonder what the engine temperatures look like out here, just considering that's a lot of times something that a lot of drivers have to be concerned with. As we see Chris Johnson jump down with Brian Johnson, the Johnson brothers working together to take the lead here.
Yeah, definitely. I think that was a little bit of a calculated plan, probably hoping they would have been able to drag the 6 of Brandon Pasalacqua along with them, but that did not happen. But it did not stop the 99 of Chris D. Johnson of actually taking the lead of this race here tonight early on in the first stage, too, might I add, Brian.
Yeah, interesting to see this. I mean, you want control. This is what these guys want. It's going to be strength in numbers, and I think Chris Johnson and Brian Johnson definitely have a fast race car underneath them as we see the top line trying to still scramble to get organized. You see there goes Patrick Gitter. He jumps up to the top along with Matt DeCiani. They're going to get the top groove working as well as I do believe Brandon Pasalacqua. So it looks like teams are working kind of together here. I'd say probability, unprobable alliances are forming. So it's kind of interesting to see that, you kind of can't be picky, right, when it comes to picking who you work with.
Yeah, absolutely, Brian. And to just show the difference here, man, J.C. Evans was all the way up, and he was leading that outside line once that shift took place, and he found himself sliding all the way back to 7th place where he's at now. Brandon Pasalacqua is still committed to that high line. He's trying to get up to get back up front, maybe try to find some clean air, but I think that it's really looking like it's a 2-car push here this year on this setup.
Taking a look through the giant gyro camera here of Miller Bonds in the 12 machine. I know he had a really good finish last week at Watkins Glen, I do believe. So he's been one of the guys that we've been looking at and has been having a lot of very good luck here so far. We'll have to see if he continues as he gets now on the rear end of the 82 of Miller Bonds. You can see that top line up there as well. And I love this camera angle of the Big Al. It really shows just the amount of banking there are in these corners.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. If you think this is a flat track in Florida, yeah, I think you might be sadly mistaken. But the high line, Matt DeCiani still up front, and he is trying to make it work, giving it everything that he has, but he's not just able to make the distance up. And that was one thing that we were going to be looking for as this race started, to see if there will be a little side drafting maybe, or if these guys will be able to kind of do the tandem thing. But looks like, look, I think I spoke too soon. Top line's starting to get a little bit more organized there. With the 21 of Patrick Gitter, he's going to be pushing Matt DeCiani, trying to get him back to the front.
Yeah, I'm seeing he's definitely wiggling a lot, though, but he is doing a successful job, a good job of pushing the back of the 1 machine. I'm surprised the top line isn't starting to really find its way. I mean, usually at Daytona, the top line is the way to go. You see big wiggles. The EPI cars right now do not seem to be very stable.
Yeah, a lot of guys seem to be having a lot of struggles there, and that's going to be a combination of the bumpy track and the dirty air. That's what's going on. Top line's starting to fall apart again.
I'm also noticing, if you look at the front end of Patrick Gitter, there's some damage on that race car. I'm seeing, if you could look at the front spoiler of the 21, or the front bumper, there's quite a dent in the front end. I'm wondering if maybe he hit the back of the 1 a little too hard, and it could be causing him to have some aero issues.
Yeah, you definitely can see how the nose of that car is kind of sunk in. But there's been quite a few checkups out there too, as well, Brian. So that's something else we've been watching as well.
And I'm wondering, yeah, maybe one of these checkups have happened. Maybe that you did say something had happened at the start of the race, and the top line had an issue. I'm wondering if maybe that Patrick Gitter found himself in the wrong place at the wrong time there, and because you can see it's clearly. I want to see if I could take a different view here, and we can kind of look at his front end. But I don't seem to have a camera that actually targets just his front end here like I usually would. Here we go. This is a little bit of a better camera angle, kind of a rear chase here. I like this angle. But you can see in some spots, you can definitely see the front end of that Chevy cone is definitely bashed in significantly as Chris Johnson, though, still leads on lap number 8. Coming to lap 9. Oh, we're having almost some 3 wide action. Miller Bonds might be getting taken 3 wide.
Yeah, that is not intentional. He's going to be fighting for his proverbial life here in the middle here, not where you want to be. Not at this track. Coming around turn 4 to the start-finish line. They're going to have to sort this out pretty quick.
And it looks like Bonds, you could tell him by himself. That's almost like throwing a parachute out the window. It is pulling him back. He's going to have to hope that he can get back in the draft, and I think he has. And he's going to get right back in J.C. Evans. I think J.C. Evans cut him a break there.
Yeah, he absolutely did let him get a break in. But going back to Gitter's nose, I think that might be giving him an advantage because it seemed like he kind of took the hump out, Brian, and kind of made it a nice, flat, shoving surface, if you will.
Yeah, almost like the Fords have a little bit of a flatter nose. Maybe have given him that for sure. We are seeing a lot of movement, though, as J.C. Evans moves to the top. Kenny Powell and Greg Wyszynski starting to move forward as well as they have just entered the top 10. I'm definitely seeing these guys. Daytona's kind of filtering out some of these drivers here. As for the most part, we're seeing, go ahead.
Highline really starting to kind of, really disintegrate here as we're halfway through the first stage. I don't know if these guys are just starting to kind of take it easy. Nothing to really gain here, Brian, but a lot to lose. Still got plenty of time to be racy. I think right now, everybody's just trying to conserve.
No, I think so. I just think they want to survive and make it to the end. Of course, stage points are going to be very, very important. So even though that they all want to survive, I think that towards the end of the stage, we will see a little bit of a sliver, of a fraction of what we're going to see later in the race, some intensity. As Matt DeCiani
big contact there. Big whoops in the back of the field. This was going to have some pretty serious implications. I think the 14 of Jeffrey Souza might have got a little sideways, and that might have started this whole thing. But definitely a lot of cars tore up with this one, Brian.
Going to see if we can't see exactly what happened. I know you said Jeffrey Souza here. And you see a car in front of Souza got into the wall. And I do believe that just kind of made somewhat of a bottleneck that no one could get through. You see heavy damage for Jordan Booth as well. We're going to have to unpack this.
Yeah, Jeffrey Souza, Kenny Powell, Jordan Booth. Darren Mullins ends up with a black flag for this. Not sure what actually happened there, but at least 3 cars sitting on the big old meatball flag.
We're watching right now the 23 of John Binder. This is where I think this all kind of kicks off. You see Binder right here. He's following right behind J.C. Evans. He was following behind Evans and went up into the wall. Got wiggly, went up into the wall. Jeffrey Souza was trying to check up to avoid this. And unfortunately, it just all heck broke loose.
I think he reacted to the cars in front of him. And then once he did that, and next thing you know, I think it was just a wiggle situation.
Yeah,
it does, don't matter if those wiggles are big or small, big wiggles or little wiggles here, man. Sometimes it just takes, wow.
That's a big one, too. You see the 64 you're talking about, Darren Mullins. I think the reason he actually got a black flag is because he went through a little bit of pit road getting involved in that accident, and that gave him a black flag. You see major damage on a lot of trucks out, or a lot of cars out here.
But this is one of those tracks where that's actually going to play out in your favor, because if you actually had to have damage on a track, it's kind of a double-edged sword. But the one side is you get a lot of time to get that damage repaired. Number two, the car just doesn't really run well once it's been beat up out here.
Well, we do have several drivers down pit road right now trying to get some damage repaired. I know Jeffrey Souza, one of them. Kenny Powell as well. He's down on pit road. Of course, Jordan Booth. So a lot of drivers trying to just get something fixed. Of course, you see Booth is a lap down, Souza 2 laps down, Kenny Powell 2 laps down. Those guys definitely did not need that. I know Powell very much has been having some successful races here lately, and as well, I know Souza's somewhat of a part-time driver, still a heartbreaker there, and also Jordan Booth. I know he's had a fast race car this week.
Hey, you want to bring? Was it Jordan Booth or Miller Bonds that was involved in that?
Well, I know Booth was involved. Maybe we can see what his what he saw from his perspective.
Yeah, he said.
All righty, Jordan Booth, we got you up here in the booth. We figured you were kind of involved in that. It seemed like just things kind of broke off in front of you. What did you see?
Bunch of people being too impatient on lap 10.
I can definitely.
Everybody's weeble wobbling. Nobody's holding their lane. Everybody's pushing. We're not going anywhere, and just too aggressive too early. But it's Daytona. What can you expect?
100%. So you really couldn't see exactly what happened, because it seemed like there was at the front of the field some dominoes started falling. With John Binder, I do believe, hit the outside wall, and Jeffrey Souza was trying to avoid it, and then everything just kind of broke loose from there.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I made looking back on it, a horrible decision to jump up to the top literally right before this all happened. And you just see smoke, you hit the brakes, you try to check up, and just unfortunate dude in front of me got hit just wrong, angled it, and I went into the inside wall, and we got a little bit of airtime.
Now, I see you're 1 lap down right now. Have you successfully got out of pit road, or are you going to be able to continue?
No, we got about 17 minutes of required. Day is done. But just shout out to TWRS. It's a really strong set. They do everything right. Shout out to KFM, being so supportive, and just unfortunate. I thought we would have had a really good chance. I've been strong at all these plate tracks, but, is what it is. We move on.
All right, Jordan. Well, thanks for your time and, your insight for sure. Hopefully you get it fixed, get back out there. If not, have a great night, brother.
Yeah, appreciate it. You guys, too. Thanks for the broadcast.
All righty, that was Jordan Booth, driver of the 41 machine, unfortunately involved in that. Sounds like his day has pretty much been cut short, Big Al.
Yeah, absolutely. And unfortunate for that team, man, because nobody wants to go out so early, just over halfway through this thing. I think we'll have about 5 laps left in the first stage once the flag does fly. So drivers really, like you said, this is the time where you really just want to kind of be patient, not really take yourself out of the contest before we even get to the main course,
Yeah, and still some other drivers even getting some damage repaired. Oh, we got somebody hitting the wall there, catching up to the pack. I think he actually hit the wall after trying to hit the brake. I think that was actually Charles Joplin there in the 89 machine. I don't know if you just saw that, Big Al, but he was trying to catch up to the pack and was going a little too quick and actually hit the brakes. And you don't want to hit the brakes when you're going that fast.
We'll be watching Joplin as well, because he does have a black flag, and those have not been cleared as of yet. So I'm assuming those are going to be stop and go penalties.
And that's unfortunate when you gotta stop under green flag racing at Daytona. If you're out there, I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy, to be out there on the racetrack by yourself after having to serve a green flag stop, because especially when how much faster the pack is compared to you, it's only a matter of time usually before that pack catches you, and that's a scary feeling to have them coming around you at about 10 mile an hour faster.
Yeah, so like a freight train. Pace car is going to be down in the way. He'll be hitting that Geico restart zone waiting on the green flag.
And it looks like Chris Johnson has chosen the top side. Green flag is out. He gets going and jumps down right in front of Brian Johnson. Brandon Paslakwa jumps down and behind Brian Johnson. So it looks like G&G 1, 2, 3 right now. They're going to try to see if they can't get in control. You see also Greg Wachinski trying to as well maybe link up with his G&G teammates.
Yeah, but that hotline definitely got nothing going as the 25 starts to fall back. Now, here's the thing. Once it's 2 to go, I think that's when we're going to actually see the real charge for the front. But right now, these guys in the back are starting to get they got it engaged, and they're going to be running up to the front. So, I don't know. This is going to shake itself out. It's going to be pretty interesting here going into the end of this, Brian.
No, 100%. I'm watching Jeffrey Ford's cockpit right now. He's getting some monster pushes from behind right now. I think that top line, he's going to get going. I mean, Jeffrey Ford's got himself a fast race car here. You see the bottom line does have a little bit more of an organization, as it looks like Greg Wychinski has gotten lined up with his other G&G teammates. Now, this is big.
Yeah, but J.C. Evans having a hard time actually getting to the 82, the bumper to 82, making a successful transfer. But one driver, though, that's been kind of in and out, Miller Bonds, he is down there still seeming to struggle to kind of get it lined up, watching this as this thing plays out. We're just now going to have 4 laps to go here before stage 1 is in the books.
It would not surprise me, though, that Miller Bonds has damage. I mean, because like he was on the bottom line whenever that all broke out, and they came down and did hit his left or his right side. So he might have a little bit of right side damage that could cause him to have handling woes. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. But look at that. Derek Jacobs running a race high 7th right now. He's one that I'm really watching. I think the 27's got a good shot here tonight if he just keeps that car clean. He's been fast always at these super speedways.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's good to see Derek Jacobs actually successful and doing good, too, because, that camp's had their problems. But, we just keep throwing it out as Al Keflowski now finds himself in a 3-wide situation.
Also, we see a lap car, Charles Joplin, who we saw hit the wall.
Oh, this is not going to work.
This is not going to work. If Charles Joplin's got to get off the track, otherwise I don't think 4-wide really works at Daytona. But it looks like these guys have made their way through it by. I think everything's going to work out just fine. That was a scary situation right there.
Wychinski way off the pace right there. J.C. Evans kind of caught up to him and gave him a little bit of a tap, but I don't think it got him going as fast as it needs to. Keselowski again in the middle, 3 wide again on the backstretch.
No one going with him. Everyone seems to be treating Al Keselowski as like he's got the plague right now. That middle group just does not seem to be working at the moment. I think it's just a turbulent air that kicks off of the rest of these cars that makes it very difficult to make that line work.
To all the cars I've wrecked before.
As we see Chris Johnson taking the 2 to go signal here.
And this is go time.
Yep, this is when it's time to go. A lot of times, a lot of drivers are going to start to really want to make their moves. See Alexander Carr, he's going to maybe make a move here.
Those moves are going to start in the back, but as they start to get closer to the front, you're going to see the drivers start to jump out, just like Miller Bonds did right there as he jumped up to try to put himself in front of that lead pack. Now the high line's getting organized. Are they going to stay high? They're going to integrate. That's going to be the question. Running out of time here, Brian.
Yeah, as we're coming now out of turn number 4 here. Going to be starting the white flag lap for stage number 1. You see Chris Johnson, Brian Johnson, and Brandon Pasalacqua are actually pulling away, which is very impressive to say the least, as we do see Bonds now starting to, he moved down to the bottom to try to get back in their draft. But I don't know if these guys are going to actually be able to make a move on the Johnson brothers. I think they just are so good at tandeming right now that I think they're untouchable.
Yeah, there's really no room right up there. That top 3 is definitely tucked in and seem to be pretty much in control of the race here. But I don't think we are done with our probabilities of a wreck.
That's true. Here as we come into turn number 3 and get ready to exit turn 4. A lot of drivers going to be fighting for that last playoff spot. As you see Johnson comes across the line as your stage 1 winner. Caution should be coming out any time now.
I think we dodged one on that one there, Brian.
Yeah, definitely.
Really waiting on the caution here.
Yeah, caution's very much delayed. Of course, Kenny Powell's 10 laps down. Him being an admin, I'm surprised he hasn't thrown it, considering the caution flag should be flying unless we're there. It is. Wow, that was almost a lap late, wasn't it? But Chris Johnson, your stage 1 winner. 2nd place, Brian Johnson. 3rd place, Brandon Pasalacqua. 4th, Miller Bonds. 5th, Alexander Carr. Sixth, Randy Mullins. I do believe. I do believe seventh is Jeff. Well, no, I think it's still kind of settling itself out. No, seventh actually is Greg Wachinski. Eighth place, J.C. Evans. Ninth, Jeffrey Ford. And 10th, Matt DeCiani. Barely was able to get that last stage point. With that, we'll take a brief step away. We'll come back and we'll talk to our Stage 1 winner.
Hey everybody, my name is Warren Maddox. I am the president of Ultimate Experience Outdoors. Our mission, we are dedicated to taking veterans, first responders, youth, and Gold Star family members on outdoor excursions across the country.
Support for our mission has many forms, from camp cooks to the great storytellers, some buddies with the band, maybe you just want to build a campfire and sit around and listen. Nothing goes unnoticed.
Camaraderie is reborn. The acceptance among the men and women that took an oath.
Whether it was decades ago or recently renewed, but never forgotten.
If you feel like you could help us, please visit our website, www.uxonation.org.
There, you can register to hunt, sign up to sponsor an event, or even donate to us so we can continue to execute our mission.
Oh my gosh, I'm so talking, bro. We get a hug, right? What have you done here?
We need your help to hold the line once again.
And we are back, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, yellow flag pit stops underway right now. Miller Bonds has decided to stay out. I do believe he pitted under that last caution. This is kind of smart here. He can make it to the end of stage 2. But I do believe we're going to talk to Chris Johnson, our stage 1 winner.
He's here.
Chris Johnson, do you read us?
Yes, sir.
Definitely fast race car you got underneath you here tonight. It looks like we got some guys that have pulled a little bit of some strategy out on you. You and Brian have been pretty much in control of stage 1. Didn't seem like anybody had anything for you. What is the secret?
The secret is Brian Johnson. Brian Johnson was tinkering around all week on this setup, and I think he caught a little bit of magic. So awesome race car, fast race car.
It definitely seems like it for sure. What is the key, do you think, to making this whole race count? I mean, because it seems like surviving is going to be the big thing. We've already got a lot of guys that have pretty much went home.
You gotta have friends, at least one friend. But yeah, if you don't have that one friend, you're just going to get ate up.
Definitely seems that is the case for sure. Of course, you led 20 laps. I mean, almost the entire race thus far. You got you a stage 1 win. Big props to you for sure. Who can we shout out after that stage 1 win?
Of course, Southern Spiral Pipe, G&G, ISCA, TWRS, Brian, Josh, Brandon, and all y'all up in the booth.
That's one thing I didn't just realize Josh Schaffner wasn't here tonight. I hope he's okay, but hopefully best of luck to you, brother. You seem like y'all got some fast race cars and some good teamwork. Hopefully y'all are able to make it through. We'll see you later, buddy.
Thank you, sir.
Alrighty, that was Chris Johnson, driver of the 99. Of course, he is our stage 1 winner. He is now back in 5th, though, as the pace car lights have gone out. Miller Bonds going to be leading us to green here. Matt DeCiani as well is going to be on the top side. Patrick Gitter in 3rd, Frank Flores in 4th. So top 4 have stayed out. I don't know if I dislike this call. I think it's good to get track position, and I think that if they have enough gas to make it to the end of stage 2, I think this is going to be a smart call.
And they're going to have plenty of gas. The key is that they actually pay attention to the start and don't lose that track position, because there is going to be a freight train of guys coming from the rear. And we know tires really don't mean as much here at a track like Daytona. Maybe the left sides will help you get back on the pit road, off of pit road quickly, but we'll just have to see how this one plays out.
Yeah, that's a very important thing to talk about. Later when we have those green flags, pit stops coming off of pit road. Those tires are going to be important in that situation. But under these caution, stage, restarts and stuff like that, it's not really going to be something that's going to impact these race car drivers right now. But here we go, getting ready to get this thing started. I do believe 21 laps until we end stage number 2. We appreciate everybody joining us. Of course, you make sure you like and subscribe to us on the ISCA. What's up, Big Al?
I was just going to say the key is going to be here is just how patient these guys are going to be on the restart. We saw guys get a little bit racy, a little bit antsy there through the middle of stage 1. But the question is going to be, who packed their patience pants?
Yeah, that's a good point. I don't know. We'll see. I mean, we saw a big accident already that I don't know. Anytime you have cautions, whether they be stages or not, a lot of times that kind of makes things a little bit more crazy at a track like Daytona. So we'll see how it kind of goes. Pace car, though, dipping down pit road. We're entering the Geico restart zone now, and the green flag back out as we start stage number 2. Miller Bonds with a really good start there. And I think Matt DeCiani just did not get going. Top line altogether didn't get going. Frank Flores kind of was not up to the back bumper, as it looks like Chris Johnson going to get a good run of speed with Pasalacqua at the rear end.
Ooh, and just like that, they run right into Miller Bonds. He was almost holding up traffic there on the front stretch. Looked like he was standing still. Those guys came up on him with such a head of speed. But this is what I was talking about. You don't want to lose the track position that you just stayed out to get.
And look at this. Frank Flores, bold move, jumps down in front of Miller Bonds. And also, I like the decision from EPI. I feel like that was very strategic of Matt DeCiani to kind of not go as good on the top to and Gitter jumps up with him, and very strategic there. But I'm wondering what Frank Flores' thought is here. Maybe just to try to control both lanes.
I think he's getting ready to see Daytona from a 360 perspective, as he did get scored at leading the lap there. But man, it's going to be everything he can to keep that car pointed one direction here, Brian.
Yeah, I mean, I'm seeing right now a lot of wiggling on that bottom line. I don't know if Miller Bonds' car is just lined up as well as it could be to the back of Frank Flores. I mean, it just seems like those drivers are having a hard time predicting one another, right? I mean, and that's one thing that's big about Daytona and Talladega. You have to be able to predict what that driver ahead of you is thinking. I mean, you almost have to be almost one of mind, right?
Well, I'm going to tell you what, something is going to have to give, and I think it's just a matter of time before somebody drops back down in front of Frank Flores, because right now whatever he's doing isn't working, as that bottom line is starting to lose momentum here just a little bit. Flores beneath the double yellow.
Yeah, I am not sure what Frank Flores is doing here. Maybe he just got a bad bump that put him down there. But I guarantee you the 99 of Chris Johnson's not happy right now.
He moved down there. That was an
so
aggressive
he wasn't
move.
bumped down there. He was actually moved.
No, he transitioned down low in front of Miller Bonds.
Well, here comes Brian Johnson and Brandon Pasalacqua. They jump down, and they're going to get a big head of steam outside of into the trioval or into turn 1 here. Look at that. Look at the run these two get. Wow.
Now a run is an understatement, as they have definitely changed the shape here of the track. Still watching Bonds and Flores. Those two are still tagging each other.
And also, who's been hurt the most by this has been Chris Johnson. I mean, Chris Johnson has gotten separated by his teammates. He's going to jump up in front of Greg Wyszynski. He has had enough of the bottom line. And look at that. Patrick Gitter side drafting the bottom here. This is getting a little bit hairy, Big Al. I'm a little worried. This has got a little bit of some alarm bells going off.
And this is what we were talking about. This is who is wearing their patient pants. Because if you don't have them on here, if you got on your racy pants, this is going to get really sporty up here real quick. And that's what a lot of these guys in the back are probably thinking, because you don't even know where it's going to happen, Brian. You just kind of got to just hope that it happens like behind you instead of around you.
Yeah, you got to be hoping that you're a Brandon Pasalacqua, that he's in front of it. And if you're one of the guys that are in the rear of it, you can even see that Al Kozlowski, some of those drivers, they're not really in this race. They're like, I want to have enough of a buffer that I'm able to react to whatever happens. That's the biggest thing about tracks like Daytona. And look at that, Miller Bonds jumps up in front of the top groove. Patrick Gitter not really wanting to push him. So we're seeing some drivers just not wanting to work with each other, it seems to be.
Yeah, but when that guy gets in front of you like that, you're going to make contact. So I understand Gitter he did not want to lift. You want to just go ahead and give that guy a nice
Oh, and there
lift.
goes
And there
Bonds
he is.
down into Paul Olson there. No caution
Everything's
as Miller
good.
Bonds is trying to save it.
He's going to pedal through it, but it looks like everybody else is still going. Bonds is probably going to be able to keep it pointed in the right direction. Now, that definitely sent ripples through the field, and that's going to cause a lot of gaps here, Brian. And so some drivers definitely going to be losing the draft on that one.
We're taking a look back at it, a little bit of a replay here. And you see right there, that was in the middle of 2, that Patrick Gitter got into the rear end of the 12. Bumping through the corner is usually a no-no. And unfortunately, that spun the Miller Bonds, and he just had a tough time getting that thing saved.
Yeah, but the best thing about it is we're going to have cars all over this racetrack pretty soon, because right in front of the lead pack on the same straightaway as the 64 Darren Mullins as well as the 14 of Jeffrey Souza. These drivers are back now into the racing groove after getting those required repairs completed on pit road.
Yeah, you talked about this having a big effect on the field here. I mean, we've seen a lot of guys splitting up here. As J.C. Evans, he's in 10th place, but he's almost coming up to 2 seconds back from this pack. So we have seen a huge change in the dynamic of this race right now. Of course, when the caution comes out, it'll get everybody back up and bunched up together again. But pretty much now, I think it's up to the top 9 of who's going to win this stage. Unless we see another caution.
And still, you're seeing Randy Mullins is not wanting to commit. He is running in the high line with Matt DeCiani behind him. So just because these guys are the lead pack doesn't mean that they're all just going to go single file one behind another all the way to the end of this thing, Brian. Seems like they're still kind of racy. The 24 Kenny Powell also back onto the racing surface. He is back in competition after getting his required repairs completed.
And look at this. J.C. Evans, who lost the draft from that top 10, is now falling back even further. Now, he's back in 16th because the pack was just the second pack was just so much faster than him. Now Derek Jacobs up to 10th.
This is going to be a tricky situation. Could be 3 wide as they're encroaching upon lap cars. Now, just looks like it should be no problem.
As there it is. Lap traffic is involved here. You see Randy Mullins going around Father Darren.
Everybody's kind of holding their breath a little bit. It looks like those passes are complete with no issues.
And Brandon Paslacqua still leads right now. Brian Johnson, second place again. It seems like he's a fixture in second place. He's been the best pusher, I'd say, so far tonight, wouldn't you? I mean, he pushed Chris Johnson to a stage win. Could he push Brandon Paslacqua to one as well?
Yeah, very well could. But the one thing I like the commitment to one line or the other. I like it when you got guys that are committed to stay in the high line and going to make it work. And that's what I think we're seeing right now. We're seeing that these guys are bound and determined to make every surface of the racetrack, be productive.
Starting to see Matt DeCiani trying to get a little bit of impatient as he is trying to get around, I do believe, Randy Mullins. He's looking for any route to get by. Of course, he needs help. He needs someone like Chris Johnson or Patrick Gitter. You see Gitter, of course, on the bottom. I'm wondering if maybe Gitter might even have some damage, more damage as a result of that contact. It looks like they got the front end somewhat banged, rounded back out again. But did he get more damage as a result of that contact with Miller Bonds?
Well, you think maybe it slowed it down just a little bit when they fixed the nose.
Could have, but I mean, I don't know. It didn't seem like he was having a slow issue when he caught Miller Bonds. I think he was just pushing him through the corner. I'm wondering if maybe the 12, we talked about him earlier in the race, had some contact, in that initial big accident. I'm wondering if maybe that is what was slowing him down through the corners that hurt him, and that's why Patrick Gitter might have got into the rear end. But we're coming up now to 10 laps to go. Got to admire Alexander Carr right now. Very good run so far there in the 18, up to third.
Yeah, Gitter just doesn't seem to be able to get that closing distance. It doesn't seem like he's been able to pull right up onto the bumper of the car in front of him.
And that's one thing that's really big about a track like this. You have to be able to get to the back bumper in order to push someone. Pushing, is a very valuable thing that you have to be able to be successful at especially at a racetrack such as this. I mean, I think that's why Brian Johnson has been, I'd say, a key player in this race because he's been so good at pushing.
Yeah, Randy Mullins seeming to try to get any help that he can, even trying to attempt a little side draft in action there, but not able to turn that into any sort of an advantage right now. But he's got father and son are running side by, well, one behind another there, so that's got to help him feel pretty good. Because I mean, Chris Johnson said it best. He says you got to have a partner out here, man. If you don't have a partner at a track like Daytona, it's just going to be a long, miserable day.
No, I mean I like that that they're willing to work together. I just don't. I think they're wasting their time though right now trying to run that top line. They're not going to really move with just 2 cars, I don't think, at the moment. But I mean, you know, as long as they're staying on this in this lead draft, I think it's going to be fine. I mean, it doesn't seem like the second pack's really catching them. But I would say that if Darren and Randy were holding this pack up and causing the second pack to catch them, I would say that they should not be doing this. But then again, this is why they were doing it. You see Patrick Gitter has decided to jump up there too. See, now they got a chance because they got 3 drivers. But it looks like they do have a lap car. Kenny Powell going to be putting them 3 wide here in a second.
Is 3 the magic number, though?
I think 3 might be. I mean, you see how much more of a run they're getting now with 3. But then they also did take advantage of the draft that was coming off of Kenny Powell's race car as well. I think if Matt DeCiani joined this pack or this group, then maybe 4 would be a little bit better. But I think 3 is a good number to have.
Yeah, we're definitely going to have to find out because there's got to be an equation that's going to work out. You know, there is a formula by in which you can actually, you know, make progress.
Well, here we are, lap 39, coming up soon to 6 laps to go in stage 2.
Yeah, I got to give a shout out to Alexander Carr having a tremendous showing here today as he's currently got himself situated in 3rd place. That is definitely got to make that team smile and feel pretty good, Brian, because they've been struggling a little bit too.
And there goes Miller Bonds. You saw Miller Bonds, who had got turned by Patrick Gitter. He's already going a lap down. Look at this.
On the inside, though, he made them all go around him on the high side.
I don't blame him. I really don't blame him. I mean, that's the best way to make sure you don't lose the draft. But we'll see if he is able to maintain. I think he's lost the draft. I think he is, but he is now a lap down. He is the in 20th position, the only car I do believe just 1 lap down at the moment, and that just shows you the difference in speed. Whenever you're outside the pack and when you're just a 1 car, you don't have a lot of speed, and it just shows that they all caught him fairly quickly, and he's going to be hoping that he gets the waiver around here, and I think he will. He'll be the lucky dog when the caution comes out.
Yeah, he's just got to try to keep those guys in sight, and not let them make it all the way back around on them one time, and he will be able to get back on the lead lap. But remember, he put himself even on a different pit strategy, so not everything lining up for Miller Bonds, but hopefully that team will be able to turn it around here and maybe make some lemonade out of these lemons that they got.
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, I don't think they're out of the race yet. It seems like they still got speed in the race car. Got plenty of opportunities here. The real race is going to be starting soon. If you still got a race car underneath you, you're in good shape. As Brandon Pasolaco, of course, coming to, we're already at 5 laps to go, so coming to 4 to go here. Top line starting to really get moving as Matt DeCiani as well has joined the fray, the group effort there on that top group. 4. Let's see, is 4 the magic number?
Kenny Powell looks like he's having no trouble making speed as he's actually been able to maintain the draft with the lead pack, so that's got to make him feel pretty good as we got 4 cars breaking out to the high line.
Yeah, I like Kenny Powell's out here. I think that's a good thing to see him out here. I mean, because even though he's 12 laps down, he could still push one of his buddies to victory.
And guess who caught the draft? The 12 of Miller Bonds is caught back up to the tail end of that lead pack. So he has definitely got to be feeling pretty good about his car and his chances right now.
Yeah, I mean, especially him getting back. He'll get back on the lead lap, and that's what's going to be really important here. But definitely loving what I'm seeing so far from the competition. I can't wait to see all these guys get back lined up again. But, of course, with that usually comes the chance of more wrecks.
Yeah, I know. 3 laps to go here as the sun starts to slowly set in that Florida sky. We're going to be actually starting to see the track conditions change a little bit here too, Brian.
That's true. It's already been very cool of a racetrack. I think it was 70-something degrees earlier. Take a look here. I do believe it's 71 right now, so I think as the sun goes down, it's going to continue to cool off. And a lot of times when it cools off, the track temp or the speeds start to go up.
Chris Johnson on the outside of Frank Flores. He's got his GNG teammate Kenny Powell on the outside with the push. These guys now starting to try to get a run to see if they can actually get around the 8 car and maybe get up into the front and make it more of at least a 3-car conversation for the win.
Oh, I think it will be. Kenny Powell getting a big run of speed there. You see Alexander Carr having a lot of handling woes right now. Some big wiggles there for the 18. Could we end up maybe seeing another accident? I mean, anytime I see wiggles like that, that makes me think that I don't know if something's getting ready to break off.
Ooh-wee.
But here we go. Coming out of turn 4 here in just a moment to start our white flag lap of stage 2. And
Carr definitely with a nice little jolt there to the forward Brian Johnson.
You also see Chris Johnson. I mean, what a recovery for this driver. Was stuck behind Miller Bonds and Frank Flores for quite a while. Had fallen outside of the top 5 and is now up here challenging for the lead. Pretty much G&G right up here at the top right now. Of course, Kenny Powell, as you see the 24 machine, not on the lead lap, but he is helping his G&G teammate. And I think Chris Johnson, they're going to come down and take the lead from the bottom here. Of course, we do see Matt DeCiani getting a good head of steam, though, on the top. Can they make a run at it?
Patrick Gitter's tucked in right behind him, trying to see if they can make it happen, but I think the G&G guys had other plans for him, as it looks like they're going to go ahead and clean the floor with this one, Brian.
And that is Chris Johnson. This is the caution flag is out a little quicker that time around. Chris Johnson goes back to back. It was almost Brandon Pasalakwa's stage to win, though, but Chris Johnson said, no, sir, I'm taking that thing. And I'd say Chris Johnson owes Kenny Powell a beer. Brandon Pasalakwa, though, comes in second. Brian Johnson third. Alexander Carr, fourth place. Frank Flores, fifth. Matt DeCiani in sixth. Patrick Gitter, seventh. Ryan Strunk in eighth. Ninth, Randy Mullins in 10th. Derek Jacobs. And that, of course, is going to bring the pack all back together. This, I do believe, is the perfect time to go ahead and take another step away. We'll be right back with whoever Big Al decides he wants to talk to.
Hey everybody, my name is Warren Maddox. I am the president of Ultimate Experience Outdoors. Our mission, we are dedicated to taking veterans, first responders, youth, and Gold Star family members on outdoor excursions across the country.
Support for our mission has many forms. From camp cooks to the great storytellers, some buddies with the band, maybe you just want to build a campfire and sit around and listen. Nothing goes unnoticed.
Camaraderie is reborn. The acceptance among the men and women that took an oath.
Whether it was decades ago or recently renewed, but never forgotten.
If you feel like you could help us, please visit our website, www.uxonation.org.
There, you can register to hunt, sign up to sponsor an event, or even donate to us so we can continue to execute our mission.
Oh my gosh, I'm so talking, bro. We get a hug, man. What have you done, Jim?
We need your help to hold the line once again.
And we are back, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, yellow flag pit stops underway. And as we get prepared to start stage number 3, this is when the real race begins. Of course, Chris Johnson just won stage 2. We've already talked to him in stage 1. So I know Big Al decided I think he wants to talk to someone a bit different. We'll wait until he completes his stop. It looks like we do have quite the change up here off of pit road. Of course, Johnson does win the race on pit road. Pasalaco comes out second. Third, Brian Johnson. But I think fourth is the man we want to talk to.
Hello.
Big Al standing by with Alexander Carr.
Hey, Alex, Big Al up in the booth. You got me?
I do. How's it going?
Man, congratulations to you for a strong finish here in stage 2. Looks like you guys got that car set up on rails tonight.
We sure do. It is just a master at pushing. So I don't know if we'll have an opportunity to get it out front at all, but being behind people, it just sucks right up. And yeah, it's a fast hot rod for sure.
So riddle me this, Batman. Is it a twosome tonight that works better, the threesome or the foursome? What is the actual push package that you think is going to get you to the front?
I think 3. So when we had the 6, the 4, and myself connected there, we were really tough to beat there on the bottom until that late charge at the end. I mean, for someone to beat a pack of about 3 deep that are really connected and focused with each other, it's going to take a concerted effort. So I think 3 is the way to go. And if not, you're going to need a whole consortium to figure that out and overtop that. So that's what I think is best tonight.
So what do you think the probability is for us seeing those beautiful green flag pit stops? So you think we're actually going to see some more entanglements here?
I think we'll see them knowing this league. And I think everyone will execute them pretty well. We might get spread out. I think we'll have a late caution at the end, especially for those trying to vie for positioning, playoff positions and stuff like that. But I think we'll get those green flag stops. We'll find a way.
Well, I'll tell you what, man, it's awesome to see you guys actually turn your luck around and actually get up front. Congratulations there for a P4 Stage 2 finish here. Before we let you go, who are you going to shout out here tonight?
I just want to shout out Team Birdie Racing. We do a great job, and it's we don't run up front very often, but when we do, we're really happy and excited. So I appreciate the interview. Big Al and the team up there, you guys do a great job. So thank you so much.
Hey, thank you, boss, and good luck to you. Hopefully we'll see you at the end of this thing.
All right. That's what I'm hoping for.
Alrighty, that was Alexander Carr, driver of the 18 machine. Of course, pace car lights are out as we're now filing down the backstretch. Chris Johnson going to be leading us to green once again, and this guy has been no stranger to the front. Definitely, it's been really, really quick. One thing, though, this is going to be bad. I shouldn't say this, Big Al. But a lot of times we see Chris up at the front like this, and he doesn't remain there towards the end, and he's going to hate me. He's probably going to come to my house and beat me up. He doesn't live that far away from me, but I'm just being honest. Usually Chris Johnson has bad luck. I hope that's not the case here tonight.
But you just keep speaking at the end of fruition.
You know me. I can't keep my mouth closed.
No, still a lot of racing left to go, man, and those guys are actually doing an awesome job. So hopefully they'll be able to keep it out of trouble and keep the soft side down, so to speak.
Oh yeah, for sure. We definitely want to keep the tires on the racetrack as we see the pace car preparing to go down pit road. Of course, Chris Johnson up at the front of the field, getting ready to enter the Geico restart zone, and there it is. Green flag is out as the real race begins. We're going to have 51 laps to go here in competition on the ISCA bottom. Very good start there. Let's see if the top side can get some sort of movement going. As you see Patrick Gitter there with Alexander Carr, Matt DeCiani drafting up to the rear of the Brandon Pasalaco.
I think Carr just actually saw his whole plan just kind of go out the window, because as soon as Brandon Pasalaco got a chance to go down, he did just that. He moved himself down to that inside position, making that a trio between those G&G cars, the 99, the 4, and the 6 together, working as a team. So now that's going to make it interesting, because who is Alexander Carr going to work with? If 3 being the magic number, I think we're going to have to see what duo he's going to pair with.
I think he's got the magic number, but I just don't think he's got the right race cars right now. I mean, Patrick Gitter has been struggling, I got to say. He just does not seem to have the speed that we're used to seeing from the 21. 54, we haven't seen a whole lot of speed from Randy Mullins as well. I think the G&G guys have hit pretty much the right race car. And I think Carr as well has a good race car as well. But I just think the other teams don't seem like they're really on the same level as the G&G guys today. I don't know if they just hit it on the setup or what, but I am liking what I'm seeing from the 23 of John Binder. He, of course, was involved in a little bit of an accident earlier in the race. Up in 6th, though. Got to give him credit. The 23 surviving this far. It's the second race, I do believe. I mean, good qualifying effort. Loving what I'm seeing here. But look at that. Once Alexander Carr got up, look, he's catching up to Matt DeCiani. DeCiani, I think, just jumped off the bottom and up to the top. Now, this could put the odds a little bit more in the favor of the 18.
Yeah, not sure what that move was about with DeCiani, but I think I know exactly what it was about. He's trying to get back to help Patrick Gitter because those two are going to actually have to work together if they got any shot whatsoever of getting around.
Oh, and there goes Alexander Carr around right in front of Al Kozlowski. Caution flag is out. J.C. Evans into the outside wall. Oh, this is not good. We see secondary contact with Kenny Powell again. But dang, we were just talking about this, and we were in the far chase camera. Had a very good view of what happened there. Let's take another look. Take another look here. And you see Alexander Carr getting a little bit wiggly behind the one machine of DeCiani. You see Matt DeCiani, I think, might get a really good run up on the 18 out of turn 2. Well, no, it looks like Alexander Carr was trying to avoid really turning the one of Matt DeCiani. They were kind of bump drafting, but just not square. And Gitter just not able to really react in time, was not able to slow down and really give these guys the space they needed to kind of save it, right? Watching right back through the back end. Let's watch the cockpit here of Patrick Gitter. You can see right in front of these guys, you can see Alexander Carr just was not given the right bumps to the one, and that slowed both of them up. I don't think Gitter really could have done much in this situation either. He just didn't have enough time to react.
Yeah, and unfortunately, the only car that actually has required repairs was the 24 Kenny Powell.
That is unfortunate. I mean, he already had required repairs earlier, so going to have to come back down and get more damage taken care of there for that race car driver. So just a lot of bad luck there for Powell as we take another look at this accident. And look at that. Just bad there. And you see Al Kozlowski also got some front end damage. We see a lot of drivers. Oh, you see that big hit for Derek Jacobs into the outside wall.
But all of these drivers actually able to continue, Brian. Like I said, the only meatball flag is that of the 24 Kenny Powell. So,
yeah. Now, to keep in mind, of course, even though these drivers don't get meatball flags, any amount of damage could affect them, though. I mean, could affect your suspension, also your aero. You definitely do not want to have too many imperfections on the aero profile of these race cars.
but you got plenty of time to go down there pit road to get that damage fixed. Though that's one of the joys about it. And you kind of can control your own destiny. So as long as you don't have to sit there and wait on required repairs, because that allows you to actually get back out in front of the pace car, make it back around, get more damage, more pounding done on the car, and actually get back out there and still stay on the lead lap.
Yeah, that's one good thing about a track like Daytona. I mean, the pace laps around this place are about a minute or so. Unlike a lot of other tracks, like you go to a track like Bristol, which is coming up, I do believe, in a few weeks. The pace laps around there are very, very short. So you pretty much come down pit road to get any damage repaired. You only have a few seconds really extra to really get anything took care of. So it's one of the good things about tracks like Daytona, Talladega, Pocono, Indianapolis. The super speedway style racetracks are a lot bigger.
I'm wondering now that Bristol's only going to be on the schedule once a year if they're actually going to go back to selling
I hope
out.
they do double races, take the dirt away, to be honest with you.
Well, they lost their slot now. It's going to be North Wilkesboro.
Oh, okay.
So Bristol only gets one spot on the calendar. But I'm wondering if, since they're only going to be there one time, if the probability of selling that race out is probably going to go up again. You think?
Oh yeah, for sure. I'm surprised they don't still sell it out. I mean, I think that with NASCAR, a lot of other tracks now have been selling out. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised to see Daytona have a pretty full stands. We'll see though. I think that NASCAR is on the uptick when it comes to race attendance lately. So we'll see, and just having the one date will very much make that ticket a lot more of a sought after thing, right?
Precious commodity.
I know. Bristol's on my bucket list. I've always wanted to go see a race there. I mean, it's just that you could see everything on the racetrack no matter where you sit at. Unlike a place like Daytona, you can't really, depending on where you sit at, you might just be able to see one corner, But here we go. Pace car lights are out. Luckily, we have the perfect view, right, Big Al? We get to sit up here in the booth.
Nice and cozy.
That's right. Lap 55, coming to 56 here. We're going to have, I do believe, 45 laps to go here. Keep in mind, the fuel window is 40 laps. If we have another caution in the next 5 or so laps, we might take that need for a green flag stop out.
Man, you're just always trying to talk accidents on us.
I'm just saying, those are facts. I'm just speaking facts. Facts hurt. Facts don't care about feelings, brother. Well, here we go. Pace car getting ready to dip down pit road as Brian Johnson and Chris Johnson lead the top and bottom line. Chris Johnson choosing to start from the top. As here we go. The green flag is going to fly once again here as we continue stage number 3. I like what I'm seeing there. Chris Johnson went early enough to jump up in front of Brian Johnson. You can tell those guys are really being very strategic and controlling this race. They're playing chess right now.
They just get down the bottom line and stay in line. I mean, that's been their strategy so far.
And it's worked. It has worked. And this is shocking, though. Usually at Daytona, like I said, the top line looks a lot stronger most of the time, but it just doesn't seem like it's got as much drive as it usually does. And maybe it has something to do with the track temp as well, maybe?
With 45 laps to go in this thing.
Definitely see the bottom line is in domination form right now. We're seeing Randy Belk as high as he's ran, I do believe. He's up in, 13th or so. Also, Greg Newsom up in the top 10 for the first time here tonight.
Looks like Gitter and the guys are getting back up to the high line. So Gitter, DeCiani in the 23, which is the 127 of Greg Newsom.
See Kenny Powell just now, I do believe, coming off of pit road after repairing the rest of his damage. The field is going to have to go 3 wide to get around him here. It looks like they're going to be successful in doing that. That was definitely a little bit of a scary situation there. And look at the top line starting to get moving now. You see Patrick Gitter's been side drafting. I do believe the bottom line of Brandon Pasalacqua, and that's pulling Pasalacqua back and allowing Gitter to get closer and closer to those top guys. But you see, look at Brian Johnson go. Look at the pushes that he's able to give to the back of the 99. That's that almost like that twin telepathy there for the brothers Johnsons.
Yeah, look at the brothers Johnsons go.
And they are somewhat pulling away from the guys.
You still actually have to applaud the effort, though, that Gitter and DeCiani have on that outside. These guys are committed to make it work. They've been out there all night, and so that's one thing I like to see. I mean, and if anybody's going to make it work, it's going to be them as the field slowly reels in the Johnson brothers.
I almost thought that they were going to pull away. The way they were looking, it was like, whoa. They're actually looking like they're going to pull away, but eventually, inch by inch, the pack catches back up. Brandon Pasalacqua back to the rear end of the 4 machine. As you see, of course, the top line, Patrick Gitter trying to line up another run. I think that side drafting was kind of successful. It seemed like it was pulling Pasalacqua back, but I don't know if it's too early to do that. I mean, we still have just over 40 laps to go. I wouldn't really be chancing that because you have to trust that driver below you very much so. And also there's the variable as well of netcode. You know, you have to put more trust even than the driver that you're side by side with.
Yeah, but you still got to try whatever you can. I mean, whatever it takes to gain an advantage is what you ultimately are going to have to do. And that's the key right there.
And they're definitely doing what it takes here as you see big runs up on the top side. Also the 127 or 23 that is on the race car is Greg Newsom. We were talking about the first time he was up in the top 10. Now he's in 5th, getting a really good run. Oh, some big wiggles there as Patrick Gitter almost gets into the wall, but they're able to keep the run going.
In the 33 of Randy Belk, he slides up into your picture, also into the top 5 for the first time tonight.
And you see some wiggles there, though, for the 127 of Greg Newsom. Almost gets, Chris Johnson hitting the apron. Barely able to save it. What a save.
Yeah, his brother just backed off enough to actually give him the opportunity to get the tail end back under itself, and that was the difference. But that allowed that outside line the momentum that it needed, that actually now those guys have a strong run.
Yeah, very much so. This battle is starting to really heat up, and the top line is really getting a huge run now. This is the strongest we've seen EPI here tonight so far. And they are now going to try to take control of the race. What is going to be the answer from G&G?
But, you know, this is just a show of power. This is just a show of force. That's all this is, because there's still nothing to gain here. Here shortly, these guys will be setting themselves up. I mean, what do you think? Where's the mark at for their green flag pit stops?
Well, I mean, that's a very good question as EPI does take control. They jump down in front of Chris Johnson.
And they leave the 127 by lonesome.
Look at Chris Johnson, though. He's bumping the rear end of the one, getting them all kind of out of sorts right now. These guys are not wanting to lift at all. And this is causing, I think this could cause a domino effect throughout the field.
Someone has stirred up the hornet's nest.
And there goes Johnson to the top. Brian Johnson going with Chris, as well as Pasalacqua. They migrated to the top line. Greg Wyszynski, what does he decide to do? He's going to go up there with him. Oh, no, he's going to take him through the middle. Come on, Greg, what are you doing? This is going to cause a crash. Wyszynski was going up there to follow his teammates, but then I think got a little bit indecisive and unfortunately got stuck in the middle 3 wide. You do not want to be indecisive at Daytona.
Into the dirty air, man. These cars, once they start to wiggle on you, sometimes you're alone for the ride. Except for the 12. He is definitely manifesting his own destiny. He is slicing and dicing.
Yeah, he has had a significant recovery up to, I do believe, now 10th place. Was a lap down at one point in this race, so good on him. But, going back to that previous question about green flag stops, I don't know if we're going to get there, just with the racing we're having right now.
Well, I think it's interesting that the Johnson brothers have stayed up high, and I think they're waiting to get the 6, because one thing that Mr. Carr said, he said the magic number's 3, and I think that is the case. So these guys are realizing that they're going to actually have to go maybe in a group of 3 if they're going to want to actually have a shot at even trying to pull away.
I think they are clear. I think all 3 drivers have cleared to the bottom. I think they might. If I was them, to be honest with you, how fast they're going up on top, working together, I'd stay up there. Because, I mean, if they go down, then all the Patrick Gitter and DeCiani is going to do is they're going to jump up and do the same thing you just did.
Now, isn't it funny? These guys were dominating, making that low line the fast line for the first part of the race. Now these same guys are running in the high line, making it faster for the latter part of the race.
Yeah, I think it's just working out well for him. As we see a big move, Ryan Strunk is dropped down from the top, as well as the 127 of Greg Newsom. They have just popped down in front of Patrick Gitter. Can they revitalize the bottom line? As we have, I do believe, coming up to 35 laps to go. Of course, we are well into the fuel window, so pit stops could happen at literally any time. But I think a lot of these drivers are holding on to the possibility of a caution flag coming out. So I think to answer that earlier question, I think these guys are going to run it dry until the last possible second. So maybe just take a quick stop, a stop and go, just a quick stop.
Well, I'll tell you one thing: they're not going to televise it. They're not going to advertise it, because if the green flag stays out, it will definitely be an element of surprise when some of these teams come down pit road. And for these guys who haven't yet found their dancing partners, that's when it's going to get really tricky.
No, I think so. I mean, and you know, this is really going to show who's communicating with one another as well. You know, the different teams, they're talking right now. I guarantee you, they're right now having discussions. When are we coming? What is going to be the plan if the green flags stops end up having to happen? What are we going to do? No one wants to get caught also down pit road and a yellow flag comes out.
If I were the 64, I'd drop down now in front of the 77 of Ryan Strunk. Because right now he is finding himself in a G&G sandwich, because he's got Wachinski and Kenny Powell right behind him. And they're going to leave him out to dry as soon as they get an opportunity.
I mean, that could very well be the case, but I mean, I don't know. If Darren can somehow kind of tag himself in, or, you know, latch himself onto the back end of these guys and stick with them and work with them, you know, they could take him up to a good finish. It just depends, like you say, if they hold him out to dry. I mean, if he makes good and makes friends with these guys, Wachinski got into the wall a little bit there.
Yeah, that's how we treat the bear. We just make friends with it.
I mean, I'm just saying, you know, you want to be friends with everybody at a super speedway.
Yeah, but right now I don't think the G&G guys are accepting any applications. I'm just saying, you know, he's got to look out for himself, and and the team guys are going to look out for the team first.
Yeah, no, 100%. No, I agree. I mean, I think when push comes to shove, I mean, even at the end of this race, though, I think eventually even the teammates are not going to be in this lap coming out of 4. I ain't your teammate then. I'm going to try to win this race. So I guess maybe they would ditch him a little earlier than that, but you know. But still, I think if I was him, I'd take advantage of it as long as I could. As you see, I'm really impressed, though, with the run we're seeing from the 77 of Strunk. Very fast race car you're seeing from Strunk here. Those guys definitely unloaded with a fast race car. Also, Greg Newsom. I mean, he's been toying in the top 3 right now. You love to see that. And now, I do believe coming up to 30 laps to go next time by. This has been a fantastic race. I love it when we visit Daytona, especially when the racing is clean, like it has been here tonight.
Ooh!
Alexander Carr with some issues. I think that was uncle on nephew violence right there.
Now he is out of the draft again. Bottom line, starting to getting ready to make its stars to the front.
And they're doing it. I mean, look at that. The 77. Very, very fast right now. Him and I think you talk about dancing partners. He's found his in the 123 there or 127 of. He's gotten better enough to where he feels like he can race at a track like Daytona.
And as soon as you start talking about it, he finds himself in a 3-wide situation once again.
I'm telling you, I just have a bad habit of talking things into happening. But the top line seems like it's prevailing here at the moment. Lap 72. Bottom line is disintegrated in a lot of ways. They have lost their momentum, but it looks like they're going to try to see if they can't get it back. Of course, looking at the stints so far for the majority of the...
Now, that way, if you were to make a mistake and say, you know, blow it coming down pit road, you're going to give yourself a chance to get out of that situation. So...
Definitely done a good job here so far. We're coming up to 26 to go. Already 3/4 of the way through this race. This race has flown right on by. I'll tell you what, you usually do 100 laps a day, and you don't really mean it necessarily, But I'd say that is a true statement for Chris Johnson tonight. In the lead, essentially all race long. With engine temperature. Because the 127 has been pushing really hard on the 77. Been really connected to the back bumper. And I think if he does that for too long, the temperature gauge starts to go up. But now they are side by side for the lead. What a run for the bottom group. Can they possibly take the lead here, take control of this race as the racing starts to intensify?
High line down to the bottom. That's the one thing they don't want to do, because that's going to be a telltale sign, because they've been running high. That is definitely something that's going to happen.
Well, Chris Johnson, I think, is going to be the identifier on when these guys come down. He's been the one that has been burned because you're taking the longer way around the racetrack. Or maybe not come down now, but more like they're saying, you know, how many laps of fuel do you have left? And they're probably going to...
It's going to cause a lot of other teams, actually. That's going to force them to make their decision time as well.
To have the race car this week. Every week we see them, they are out there and pretty much dominant. But just this week, it doesn't seem like they necessarily hit the mark on the Super Speedway package.
Yeah, that's unfortunate too, because I mean, you're going to be trying to get down there low as well, because the one thing everybody is going to be going within 2 laps of each other.
Yeah, because the bigger group is going to be the faster pack. So you're going to all want to try to, if you can go at one time, that's what everybody's going to really want to do. And you also got to be perfect, because the thing about it when it comes to green flag stops is, you know, it's not
Powell, I think they really kind of like started to check up, maybe an attempt to go down, but the memo was slowly received behind him, and that kind of caused an accordion effect. Still really antsy back there to 12, yeah.
I think Miller Bonds jumped down in front of Matt DeCiani. DeCiani gave him a bump and bumped him out of the groove and put him up top. So I think we might be seeing some temper starting to flare here in the mid-pack. I'm wondering if maybe something happened earlier in the race. I know Bonds and Gitter had something happen earlier in the race.
Wachinski shifts down. That's letting me know that the G&G guys will be coming sooner than later. Powell's going to be doing everything he can to get some real estate so he can get down.
Alexander Carr looks like he's already come to pit road. The pack is now trying to get around him. He's going to be holding the bottom line, and this could kind of bottleneck the group.
No, I hadn't seen him. It doesn't say that he's
pitted. A lap down, so I don't know if he has yet or not. Yeah, it looks like that's why I would think the only reason he would be a lap down is because he might have pitted here. Alexander Carnot, you're right. 30 laps since he last pitted, so he might have just went a lap down naturally. It's a good catch there, Al. I thought he had just came down pit road, but you are right. Now 14 laps to go next time by.
Oh, this is going to get exciting.
It's already been exciting. I'll tell you that right now. It has already gotten incredibly exciting. When did we come down? We see a lot of drivers seem like they're itching to come down. Pretty much everyone's single file. Even though they're single file, though, there still is an opportunity for an accident. If one driver checks up in front of another driver, that could be that domino effect.
Well, you all have to slow down at the same time and simultaneously keep your car pointed in the right direction while you're slowing down and downshifting and braking intensely, trying to get that car down to the 55 miles per hour speed. So a lot of things going on there and hoping that you just don't get pancaked from the car behind you who has missed his mark and has not been able to slow down. So he's going to be using you as a set of brakes.
Yeah, 100%. And a lot of times drivers at tracks like this, it's like,
Grade 5
we got
pit
some
stop.
guys. It's Ryan Strunk. I do believe Ryan Strunk coming to that pit road to 127 of Greg Newsom, Patrick Gitter, Matt DeCiani. So we have a couple drivers that have decided to
Beautifully
elect.
done.
Yeah, not a bad job there. Randy Belk as well coming down. And it looks like fuel only for the 77. Be curious to see when the next, does this provoke a response? As we watch Chris Johnson coming out of turn 4. Does the G&G guys come down now? And they do. Here they come. Here comes Miller Bonds as well. Kenny Powell.
Finding out.
Looks like a fairly good.
So good so far.
Fairly good so far. Looks like no one really having any issues here.
And you were acting like it was going to be a big deal.
you know that a lot of times pit stops at this track can be hairy, but then you got to keep in mind we're here on the ISCA. These guys, even though it's a difficult undertaking, but these are good drivers.
Yes, sir. Still not done
yet. If me and you
yet.
were out there doing these pit stops, yeah, there'd be an issue.
No, you.
Oh my word! Don't even try to front.
Still got about 5 cars that are out there that have not yet come down pit road.
Well, here they come. I think that's the Randy Mullins and I believe I think that's John Binder coming down.
That's a problem, is what that is, because that's a twofer.
But it looks like the leader, after all of that, I do believe is probably going to be Brian Johnson. And he's got Darren Mullins right behind him. Chris Johnson came out, I do believe, 3rd in the net, as Brandon Pasalacqua is going to be 4th once those last 2 drivers pit. And you see the guys that are fighting right on the edge of the top 5. You see Gitter. You were just about to talk about Gitter. Gitter and those guys are battling hard side by side.
Yeah, Gitter seems to have got a little bit of a giddy up in his step here now as he's out front with DeCiani behind him.
And we're coming to now 10 laps to go. Oh, and look at that. Greg Wyszynski narrowly avoids hitting Randy Mullins as he almost got turned there. Whoa. Look at this. What is happening here?
Feels like I should be hearing the Duke boys in the background.
Wow. Greg Wyszynski, he had to go through an obstacle course right there, didn't he?
Yeah, that was a wreck that just took too long to happen. It just gave up on itself.
It's like, yeah, this is taking too long. I think we're just going to go ahead and end it. There goes Derek Jacobs. I do believe he's going to lamp down. Brian Johnson. I think he's in control right now. But Darren Mullins, he's that unknown quality. I remember we were talking about should he stick with it. I think he did a good job sticking with those G&G guys. Now, I think that they are now probably going to try to shuffle him out, though. But still, he's in the top 3 when it all is said and done. If he can stay on Brian Johnson's bumper, he might have a chance to maybe make a late race move. Coming up to 8 to go. I'm just saying, I think that he's survived this long. He's up right now in a really good spot.
Yeah, he's you know what he is? He's the 3rd cow on the arc.
That's not good. You don't want to be the third of anything on the arc.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, but you see all that battling though for that position in the second pack has separated the groups quite significantly. It's about 2 seconds, a little over 2 seconds actually. So I think that this battle is going to come down to 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th at the moment. Of course, Carr and Paul Olson are still out on the racetrack. They have 39 laps since their last pit. So Carr and Olson will not be able to make it on fuel. but I think they're gambling on possibly a late race caution, but they're going to run out of gas very soon. So I think this race is going to come down to Brian Johnson, Darren Mullins, Chris Johnson, and Passalacqua. I think that's who this is who's going to win this race if we don't see a caution. Now remember though, Alexander Carr did predict that we might see a late race caution. I am definitely on the edge of my seat though, as we're coming to the end of this race. Just a few more laps to go, coming up to 7 to be exact.
Yeah, you can go ahead and slide on back and get comfortable. It's going to take a little bit.
Very much so, but even so, blink and you'll miss it. Don't go get anything to drink, ladies and gentlemen. Don't go get anything to eat, because this thing's getting ready to, there's going to be something that might happen. It ain't over. That's why you always say, Big Al, you got to run all the laps.
That's why we run all of the laps.
But we do appreciate, though, everybody out there tuning in on this wonderful Thursday night. You could do anything else, but you decided to spend some time with us here on the ISCA. And we definitely appreciate it. Make sure you like and subscribe us on YouTube. Follow us on Twitch. Of course, we also have a social media platform, Facebook, Twitter. Make sure you follow us on both of those. As we come soon to 5 laps to go. And some lap traffic starting to come into play as well. You see Charles Joplin and I do believe J.C. Evans getting ready to, I do believe, go possibly a second lap down here. And it looks like they're going to, leader's going to get by them fairly easily. But Brian Johnson, the Johnson brothers, have had a fantastic day so far. And it looks like Brian Johnson, the 4, who has been, I say, the best pusher so far tonight, he's going to find himself in the clean air. Who'd have thunk it? Chris Johnson won both stage 1 and 2. Will Brian win the race? Wouldn't that be something? And you know what? Brian Johnson, to be honest with you, needs the points. He has been trailing behind Passalacqua all season long. This would be a big deal for him to try to close that gap in on Passalacqua on points.
Wow, did you see the shove that Kenny Powell just gave to Al Kozlowski to get around Gitter and DeCiani? I mean, they not only passed him, but they gapped him by about 4 car lengths.
Yeah, I mean, and you got to keep in mind, Kenny Powell's 16 laps down. Now this puts Al Kozlowski up into top 4, I do believe, top 5 range. Very good run for the 88 today. I mean, I got to really give him credit. I mean, a lot of times we see Al Kozlowski's not a driver that survives to the end of the race, right? I mean, he's one of those guys that is not very good at following other drivers, but he's done a good job tonight. I got to give him credit.
You just talked about it again.
You think he's going to wreck because I just said that?
Derek Jacobs getting a love shot. There goes Greg Wachinski actually having to go high. So we still got a little accident waiting to break out somewhere.
Oh, yeah. There's still something that could definitely still happen. One thing that's interesting is Al Kozlowski is starting to catch the lead group. Like, as soon as he took over that second pack's lead, he started running down Brian Johnson, Mullins, and Johnson. I mean, if he's got enough time, if he's able to make up enough time and get a sniff of their draft, who's to say he doesn't come up here and take this victory away?
For whatever reason, the 21 cars just, after he got some preliminary damage fixed, his car's just not being draft friendly.
Yeah, just definitely, I agree. I don't think him or DeCiani. I don't know if it is the damage. I think DeCiani's also struggled just as much.
You think it's a setup?
I think it could be the setup this week. And like I said, I don't mean to call those guys out, but I just feel like they just didn't hit the mark this week.
Which guys?
The EPI drivers there.
Oh, so you're saying the EPI doesn't have a good setup this week?
Well, maybe the conditions of the racetrack are also limited to that. I'm not trying to call out the whole organization. I'm saying this team in this race right now just seem like they're struggling a little bit more than the G&G drivers are.
Okay.
I mean, heck, G&G drivers could be running for EPI for all I know. They're not on a specific setup shop team.
But Brian Johnson definitely doing what he needs to do. Brother Chris Johnson returning the favor. Now he is shoving his little brother here, trying to make sure that he can put one in the books, as we are 2 laps to go before this one's officially over.
Watch this, though. Look at the closing rate that Al Kozlowski has right now. 1.5 seconds back from the lead. Al is coming. With 1 lap to go, Al Kozlowski has a shot at this if he keeps this momentum up. Look at how much he's closing in, Big Al.
I hear that trainer coming.
He is flying right now. But now he's got to get blocked by Mullins. He's going to take a 3 wide on the top. Wow.
Al's still there.
And he made it through that, too. I don't think
Wiggle.
Can he make it up to Brian Johnson? It's going to be – I don't think he's going to make it. But wow, what a run for Al Kozlowski. And now he gets hung out to dry by his own teammate. What the heck?
Powell's unhinged.
Powell's 16 laps down. He just helped out EPI.
Well, I think Powell at that point, Kozlowski kind of got a little bit lower, and if Powell would have actually went down there, he would have turned him. So I think he kept his foot in it and kept going.
We just missed the finish. I want to watch this again because you see, coming out of turn 4, Brian Johnson was the leader. Brian Johnson is the leader coming into the backstretch right now. I just want to watch this back. As you see Brian Johnson, he's leading right here. He's got brother Chris all over his rear end. And this is when a move is made. Brother on brother crime. You see Chris goes high. He's got the top side, so he's going to have the faster run. And wow, look at the momentum that Chris Johnson had on the exit. And Chris Johnson wins stage 1, stage 2, and the race. What a domination. I got to say, that's the only thing that can be said about the 99. Whatever they did to that race car, fast. He has been an absolute bullet.
Especially at Daytona.
Yeah, and he's going to be doing some celebrating right there. Look at that. Doing some burnouts, well-deserved burnouts there as well. Even because it's not just how his performance on the racetrack. He performed on pit road as well. That's another thing that you got to keep in mind, that these guys had to perform on pit road. Of course, with that, let's take a quick look at the results of tonight's race. Chris Johnson, your winner. Brandon Paslacqua comes home in 2nd place. Brian Johnson in 3rd. So that is a G&G 1-2-3. Patrick Gitter, even though they didn't seem like they had the speed tonight, finished 4th. DeCiani 5th. Miller Bonds, what a recovery there for the 12, finishes in 6th. 7th place, Darren Mullins. 8th place, Al Kozlowski. I mean, I thought Al had the speed to win this race at the end there. 9th place, Ryan Strunk. Good job to him. 10th place, Randy Mullen. Of course, 11th place, John Binder. 12th, Greg Newsom. 13th, Greg Wychinski.
14th, Paul Osen. 15th place going to be Greg Carr. 16th, J.C. Evans. 17th, Randy Belt. 18th place, Derek Jacobs. 19th, Frank Flores. 20th, Alexander Carr. 21st is going to be Charles Joplin. Kenny Powell coming in 22nd. Jeffrey Ford, 23rd. Jeffrey Souza, 24th. Jordan Booth, 25th. And I think that rounds out our 25-car field here tonight, Brian.
That it does, as Chris Johnson is still celebrating his victory here. What a phenomenal job to him. Last lap pass for the win. With that, we'll take a brief step away, pay some attention to our sponsors, and we'll be right back with our top 3 finishers.
Hey everybody, my name is Warren Maddox. I am the president of Ultimate Experience Outdoors. Our mission, we are dedicated to taking veterans, first responders, youth, and Gold Star family members on outdoor excursions across the country.
Support for our mission has many forms. From camp cooks to the great storytellers, some buddies with the band, maybe you just want to build a campfire and sit around and listen. Nothing goes unnoticed.
Camaraderie is reborn. The acceptance among the men and women that took an oath.
Whether it was decades ago or recently renewed, but never forgotten.
If you feel like you could help us, please visit our website, www.uxonation.org.
There, you can register to hunt, Sign up to sponsor an event or even donate to us so we can continue to execute our mission.
Oh my gosh, I feel comfortable, bro. We get a hug, man. What have you done, Jim?
We need your help to hold the line once again.
Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, we are back, and wow, what a race we had here tonight. Can't wait to talk to some of the drivers here that participated in it. Of course, our first driver we're going to talk to led the next to last lap, but did not lead the last one. Brian Johnson, man, I think you were the best pusher pretty much tonight. I mean, what were you doing? And I mean, Chris said y'all found something there in the ride, and it definitely seemed like you guys had the setups to beat out there tonight, and just the teamwork also. I mean, what all do you think was the major factor that led to you guys being so dominant?
Oh, 100% teamwork, man. Chris, Brandon, I mean, we worked together, and Kenny too. I mean, we worked together great all night. We communicated. Yeah, we stayed nose to tail most of the race, got grouped up, didn't get greedy, and going into the race, I was content, just pushing whoever was in front of me. I told the guys, I was going to push whoever was in front of me. So there, that after that last pit stop, it just so happened I wound up up front, and got a little push from Chris and Brandon there. But yeah, overall it was a great race, very fun. Had a blast. It was great working as a team.
Yeah, and it definitely seemed very clean from where you guys were at. I mean, I know that a little bit further back, it seemed like they were a little bit more battly and a little bit more, definitely sporty, as Big Al would say. But it seemed like you guys didn't really see a whole lot of that up in the front there. I mean, so were y'all communicating a lot about pit stops and things like that? What was the plan? Did it go to plan? It seemed like you guys did very well on pit road.
Yeah, for once it actually went according to plan. So yeah, I mean, we were communicating all race, trying to figure out when to take tires, when not to take tires, how much fuel, when to pit, and whatnot. So yeah, I mean, it was very dicey out in the back. Luckily we were out front most of the race, and we were watching in our mirror. Every once in a while someone would get a run on us and side draft us, pull us back, but we were able to stick it out front. Those EPI guys, they gave us a run for our money there, but luckily we were able to keep clean air and stay out front for the most part.
Yeah, and it seemed like when they did start to get a run on you, you kind of were able to switch lanes and took the power pretty much back from them. And it seemed like you had the power to pretty much go wherever you needed to go, for sure. So definitely an excellent job to you. Of course, here Daytona, you led 2 laps, almost even won the race. Unfortunately, Chris, I even said it on the last lap. It's every man for himself, and Chris Johnson definitely was like, "Hey, I won both stages. I'm gonna win the race," and that seems to be what happened. Of course, next week, Darlington. I know that's a track that you're fairly good at. How do you feel about it?
Yeah, man, I'm looking forward to Darlington. Believe it or not, I'm not a big fan of these super speedways, so I'm looking forward to next week.
Well, we're definitely looking forward to seeing what you can do as well. You're usually very strong at those technical tracks. Well, who can we give a shout out to, Brian, after your second or third place finish?
Yeah, man, shout out to Brandon and Chris on the win. Heck of a job working as a team. And Kenny too. We all worked together very well throughout that race.
swept the podium. You know, shout out to Josh. He's probably watching right now, so I know he was wanting to. He really missed being here, so he told us to go get him, and we did. So we swept the podium for Josh. This was for Josh if he's watching. So, and shout out to you guys up in the booth. You guys do a fantastic job, and also to the Southern Spiral Pipe, ButtKicker, and Kenny Powell for putting this on.
All right, Brian. Well, thanks for your time, brother. We'll see you next time.
Thanks, guys. One more shout out. My setup came from TWRS, so shout out to those guys. If you want my setup, you know, go to that site. You know, Brian Britt will tell you the website here when I'm done. But yeah, I mean, that thing was fast all night. So put it in right before the race, and that thing was flying. So it was a great pusher. So shout out to TWRS Racing Setups.
All righty. Thanks, Brian. We'll see you next week at Darlington. Now we'll push it on over to Mr. Big Al, and he's going to be talking to Brandon Ponsalacqua.
Hey, Brandon Ponsalacqua, Big Al up in the booth. You got me?
I got you, Big Al. What's going on?
Hey, man, congratulations for bringing it home on the podium in P2. You guys got to be pretty pumped up about that.
Yeah, it was great. It was a great night. It doesn't usually work out this well, especially at super speedways. So it was just excellent execution between Chris, Brian, and I. You know, Kenny helped us out a lot at times there. I'd never seen a car so fast that had 14 minutes of damage, but hey, we'll take it for sure. So it was just it was great running with everybody and having a clean race. So definitely enjoyed it.
Yeah, definitely. I think you guys kind of figured out that maybe the threesome was the package that was going to get it done, because you guys were definitely the fast three to beat.
Yeah, for sure. We were talking about during the race about what the best line would be, the bottom or the top, and I think we all agreed that it doesn't matter. You need to just have 3 cars that are able to run tight together. So we said, the hell with it. We'll run wherever we got to go to make passes, and it worked out for us. I mean, I didn't think the top lane would work that great unless you were side drafting, and it actually worked really well without side drafting. So, and it made it easier for us not to have to run in any trouble. So, again, great teamwork, and it was a pleasure getting us all 3 in the podium.
And I'm going to tell you, it was amazing because you guys were running down at the bottom and the top was slow. And then once you guys moved up to the top was fast. So we talked about that. So definitely, I think the 3 cars, like you said, as long as you guys could pretty much go wherever you wanted to.
Yeah, absolutely. And I probably have to give all the credit to Brian there. He was the second car, regardless if it was me leading or Chris leading. And then I told him on one of the restarts, I was like, hey, you need to take second when we try to coordinate this restart, because I'm not that good of a pusher. So give a lot of credit to Brian for keeping up, making sure we had pace all night there. So.
Yeah, it was definitely a pleasure to watch. It was an awesome race. Next week, headed to a little bit of a different track there, getting away from the super speedway, headed into Darlington, man. What can we expect coming out of the 6 camp for next week?
Yeah, the first race of the playoffs, so that's exciting. Unfortunately, that's probably my worst track on the schedule. So, whatever, we'll figure it out. Work with the G&G boys and try to get a setup dialed in. And for me, hopefully, I can just come out of there with a top 10 finish and stay on the lead lap, obviously. So, anything better than that would be great, and we'll work hard all week to dial it in.
Yeah, definitely having a strong showing here tonight definitely does not hurt going into the playoffs for you. Hopefully you can carry that momentum in here, man. Thank you for your time. Before we let you go, who you shouting out tonight for your second place finish?
Yeah, for sure. Definitely. Again, got to give a shout out to Chris and Brian. It's great to have a G&G podium sweep. I don't think we've had that this year, so that's awesome. Shout out to Kenny for working with us. Also, everything he does for the league. Al Kozlowski having a hell of a run there at the end. It was the last lap and a half, and I'm looking back. I'm like, damn, where'd Al come from? He's 2.5 seconds back. Next thing you know, on the last lap, he's only 8/10. So I saw him coming with DeCiani and Gator, so great run there. And just great job by everybody in the league. It's hard to run at these super speedways and running so close, and us all being so equal here. So good job only having a few cautions. And yeah, excited for next week, and I appreciate you guys in the booth.
Roger that, man. As always, it's I always say, don't party too hard.
All right, Big Al, appreciate it.
Alrighty, that was Brandon Ponsalacqua, and I do believe after this race, I think he is the regular season champion, if I'm not mistaken. So big congratulations to him for sure. Of course, our winner, the Dominator. I mean, that is the new nickname we're going to give to Chris Johnson. I mean, one stage 1, one stage 2, and stage 3. I mean, I was talking a little bit about Chris Johnson, saying that we won stage 1, he won stage 2, but usually does not finish the race as well. He usually has bad luck. I was talking about that. Was hoping I did not cause
a broadcaster's curse. Luckily, I didn't. Luckily, apparently, Chris Johnson was just fast enough that it didn't matter what the broadcaster says. I mean, what a job, Chris. I mean, you just seemed like you had that Ford as a rocket ship. Didn't matter what was going on, you were up at the front.
You know, all thanks to Brian. Well, I'll give credit to Kenny for the second stage. He did shove my car up to the winning place up in second stage. But yeah, I mean Brian paired with the TWRS set. I mean this thing was a rocket ship.
It definitely seemed like you guys were really fast. And I think that, you kind of downplayed the stage 2 deal, but I think that one actually was more of an impressive thing anyway, because I think you had fallen outside of possibly even the top 10. We're getting held up somewhat. And, Chris or Brian had gotten up to the front along with, I do believe, Pasalacqua. And you, along with Kenny Powell, had such a resurgence of speed that you just all of a sudden showed up side by side on the top side and were able to take that win there, stage win. I mean, that was fairly impressive.
Yeah, I mean, I remember getting clear on the outside, and I just hear Kenny's voice. And keep in mind that Kenny was involved at wreck. I think he had like 5-6 minutes of damage, and he keyed up, said, "I'm right behind you. Let's go." And by gone it, he pushed me all the way to the lead. And I don't know if there was anybody behind him, but he doggone pushed me with 6 minutes of damage on his car.
Yeah, I mean, he might have been. He's probably tied for best pusher all race because he pushed out Kozlowski as far as he did. I mean, that was a crazy run from him as well. But I mean, it just seemed like G&G, you guys showed up with a really, really fast race car. And how'd y'all prepare? Because I mean, I know you had to spend time to learn each other's mannerisms on the track, right?
Yeah, I mean, me, Brian, Brandon got in a practice session a couple hours before the race session. We ran a couple laps. We figured what to do, what not to do, what our cars can handle, what cannot handle. So I wouldn't say we were completely prepared, but we had a general idea what to do.
Well, it definitely seemed like your preparation did prepare, or did I'd say it paid off, I should say. Of course, next week we're going to Darlington. You got to win here now. What do you feel about that track? I know that's kind of a tricky one for sure. It takes a lot of I'd say skill, and I think you got the skill to do it. But I know that's a track that also that wall will reach out and bite you. How you feeling about it?
Well, as long as I get a top 10, I don't really care. I'm like Brandon. I hate that track. I never get 3 and 4 down. And yeah, I'd be happy with a top 10 and leave it at that.
Well, you definitely earned a win this week, Chris. Awesome job to you. Who can we shout out after that big win?
Of course, Brandon, Brian, Josh, Kenny Powell, all the guys at G&G, all the guys at ISCA and TWRS for the setup. They built a rocket ship this week, and Southern Spiral Pipe, ButtKicker, and of course you, Brian, and Big Al.
All right. Well, thanks for saving us for last. That means a lot to me. Alrighty, Chris. Thanks for your time, brother.
TeamWatsonRacing.com. Go check them out.
Alrighty. Definitely, that was Brian Johnson making sure to get that last shout out in there. We definitely appreciate those guys for, speaking with us today and joining us here. And man, what a race though. Final thoughts, Big Al. I mean, this one probably might have been one of the best races this year. I mean, man, 100 laps went by so fast because it was exciting the entire time.
Yeah, and I want to give a big shout out to Brandon Pasalacqua, man, for everything that he did, clinching that championship, because we don't just give those things away, and going into the playoffs, man. Good luck to all of these drivers. Fun race, man. It was actually one of the best Daytona races I think that I've ever been a part of calling. So, and thanks again to the ISCA.
100%. I couldn't have said it better myself. Of course, with that, I do believe that draws us to the conclusion of tonight's broadcast. Of course, tune in next week. We'll be at Darlington Raceway, my home track. And you're going to hear me say that quite a bit next week because anytime we go to Darlington, I will not shut up about it. But, of course, that is the track Too Tough to Tame. The Lady in Black one of the hardest tracks on the NASCAR schedule. Can't wait to go there and see who's going to be the one that conquers it as we go to our first race in the playoffs. It'll be at 9:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time is when the broadcast will begin. Of course, 9:30. A little after that will be when the actual race itself starts. So make sure you show up. Make sure you bring plenty of popcorn. Bring you some soda. And we'll definitely be here to have some fun for sure. But we'll see you then on the ISCA Super Cup Series. Thanks for watching.